Hi everyone. It only took me all day to get over to my serger and make this video, so I will try and show you a couple options for finishing these masks off with your cover stitch serger. You have to have a cover stitch and a couple of attachments, but a lot of you have them and are looking for a way to use them. So here we go. I hope I don't make you seasick with all this moving. So I've already put my, this is my larger, oh, this is the 28 millimeter bias binder, and I left this one on there because I want to show you the difference. I've already done this one, this side. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with just fabric, okay? And I just cut a width of fabric. This is not bias. And if you've ever used these attachments, you know that they can take a little while to train themselves on your piece of fabric. So give it a few inches to get going. Remember, this is a mask. This is not a ball gown. You do not have to be perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking for the crease, which tells me I'm getting close to the middle. And when I get there, I'm going to kind of stick that fabric in there. Can you see what I'm doing? And it's going to kind of grab it. You want to make sure you're snugly in there. More is better with this. And we're going to go through, sew the end of that mask. Now, there are some people that are talented enough to swing around, make a loop, and go down the other side. I'm just going to sew off. Hold on, then I'll talk some more. Okay, so there it is. So it's captured that side of the mask. It's covered the raw edge. And it's given me straight stitching. I did use this color so you could see it. Now you can adjust your attachment so that you're on the fabric a little bit more, but this is really fine. You could even use a straight chain stitch. Okay, so then that's done. And this is gonna have this is ties. So let me show you this. So it's all set with ties, ready to go. Now, if you chose to, you could piece these strips and go up one side, leave a loop probably about, I don't know, 10, 12 inches, and go down the other. So you would have to piece your fabric for this. Or if you're doing a bunch of them, get yardage, get like 1.5 yards and cut it horizontally, or the length of the fabric, so that you don't have any seams, because seams are where you get into trouble with these things. You kind of have to help those along. So, and then they can just slip this over their head, like so, and bring it up and tie it. So if you have a loop and a long string like that, that will go over someone's head, and then when they untie it, it just hangs around their neck. So it's the same difference with the ties, though. I just find it more relaxing to just make 2 ties, not have to worry about swinging it around. That way you can just knot one with a bow, and it goes over your head, and then you just pull it up, tie it, and you're good to go. So the other thing you can do, because a lot of people are making these with the side pocket for elastic, but elastic is getting very scarce. And the other thing you can do is make a belt loop with your belt loop binder, so that you can just use that. I thought about shoestrings, and then Linda, brilliant Linda, sorry, called me this morning and said something about the belt loop binder. I'm like, brilliant, let's do it. So I've got my smaller size, I forget what it is, the 3/4 inch belt loop binder. And you just put that on. You're set up for cover stitch again, and you got to use a 2-thread with this. With the bias binder, you could use a single needle to do a chain stitch, but with the belt loop binder, you really have to use 2 threads, or 2 needles, because it's otherwise it won't capture. So the hardest part of this whole operation is getting the stinking fabric. You want it right side up. Doesn't matter with these things, does it? I'm sorry, you only see the bottom half of my face. That's kind of weird. Okay, so we're gonna pull this through. Can you see what I'm doing? Let me just put it back on here. So you're gonna feed that fabric in, and this is not, fabric has not been washed, so it keeps it, so it's nice and stiff, which I kind of would recommend. And just kind of get it through there, and again, it's gonna train itself. So you're in that belt loop binder, and and you're just gonna run it. Let's get you a little closer. You see, there we go. So it's gonna capture that. You want the needles to go down the center of the piece. So you see these little marks here, you center your attachment on the marks. Now let me tell you something else. You might need to take a screwdriver, because I did, and loosen these screws and pull that attachment back. Depending on which machine you own, some of the feet are longer than others. So if you have, these are all baby lock attachments. Now if you have another brand, you might be able to get an attachment for yours. But then I'm gonna ask, why don't you have a self-threading serger if they're out there? So it has to be a cover stitch machine. So if you have an Evolve or an Evolution or an Accolade or an Ovation or a Triumph, I think I got them all, then you can do this. Okay, so I'm getting to the end. Now with this, so you have this fun belt loop. You have, oh, see now I didn't catch there because I wasn't centered enough. So you see how you've got this? Now I would, for the belt loops, I'm set on narrow, the two left-hand needles. I would set it up for wide for belt loops, because you do want to make sure you catch those raw edges. I mean, it's just not catching right there. Can you see that? It's just not catching. So if I had my wider setup, so if I had my 1 and my 3, let me point with the tweezers, my chain needle 1 and chain needle 3, then I would have been fine. So then you're going to have this nice skinny strip, okay? And instead of putting elastic through the casings on the side, you'll feed this through, and you can then go up and over, and it will act like this would if you had gone all the way around. So you can feed that belt loop. Once you have the bias, the trim on the sides, take this up and through the casing and down the other side, and it'll be perfectly fine. And actually we found some of the doctors prefer ties to elastic, because then they can kind of take them off and let them fall down, you know, and hang down when they're not in with patients. So let me just give you a little quick note in terms of how to set the serger up for this. Let me take so the attachment gets screwed onto the plate. I'm kind of going backwards here so I don't take too much time. I'm going to take this off and show you kind of where you're set up. So you're going to go from your overlock position on your needles, which are back here, to your cover stitch position. And for the belt loop binder, 1 and 3. For the bias trim, you're going to go 1 and 2. Yep, that's 1 and 2. And then you're going to put your cover stitch table on, take off this guy and put on this guy, okay? Right? You need to lock your blade. Can you see? Lock your blade. And you need to, everything probably looks backwards to you. Drop your needle, or your looper, drop your looper down. And that's about it. Move your needles, this. You're good to go. So, if you have questions, oh, and you're threading, I'm sorry. Let me turn you around. Well, I guess I'm not turning you around. You're gonna have these two or these two, right? And then your chain stitch looper are gonna be threaded, and you're gonna thread it through this position. If you have questions, if you don't know, if you have the attachment, I might have attachments. If you bought a foot bag, the attachments are in the foot bag. And if you need help, just call me. I'm here every day. So we'll talk to you soon. Keep those masks coming. Thank you.